Hello friends, and welcome to the first episode of the Witcher Bestiary. This is the first video of a new series where I want to get into the ecology of the Witcher 3 game. Since this is the first episode, I organized it the best I could, but I'm more than willing to make any changes based on your guys' feedback. And thanks to all who voted on the poll that I put out choosing the class that would be covered in this video. The winning class ended up being beasts. I'm going to start by talking about beasts found in the base game, and then I'll talk about beasts found in the 2 DLCs. A lot of the creatures in this class are pretty basic, but I still think they're fun to talk about. So without further ado, let's get into the beasts of Witcher 3. A friend of mine used to say that with all these griffins and basilisks and whatnot, good old-fashioned wolves weren't nothing to worry about. Then the damn beast devoured half his flock. Wolves usually feed in packs counting from a handful to over a dozen members, though some particularly strong males hunt alone. Though wolves are weaker than many post-conjunction monsters, they make up for any lack of strength with their intelligence. When fighting them, one must be especially careful not to become surrounded. Wolves in the Witcher 3 universe have 3 main variations: dire wolves, wolves of the wild hunt, and wargs. Both dire wolves and wargs are larger variations of the common wolf and are much stronger. We'll briefly discuss wargs in the next entry as they are considered a beast class of their own. And as for wolves of the wild hunt, these snowy specters are no longer considered to be a part of the beast class. When fighting common wolves, you'll almost always be facing a pack. And their group fighting style means that becoming surrounded is a death sentence. Keeping this in mind, using signs like Igni and Ard to disrupt their attacks can give you time to recover stamina and kill them one by one. Some of the earliest and most memorable encounters with wolves happens in White Orchard, where Geralt can stumble into packs while exploring abandoned villages or completing side quests. They often appear without warning, and their numbers can turn a simple fight into a chaotic brawl. Some particularly notable moments come during the Kaer Morhen questline. Wolves roam the mountains surrounding the Witcher's Keep, and while Geralt is far more powerful by this point, their ambushes echo the dangers of the wilderness that he grew up in. Wolves also show up in contracts indirectly, often feasting on fresh kills or lurking near monster lairs, making them a constant environmental threat. Their howls can be heard before the pack strikes, likely being the only warning you'll get. Particularly dangerous are wargs, a nasty and ferocious subspecies of wolf. Wargs, although they get their own entry in the bestiary, are pretty much just overgrown wolves. They operate the same as wolves, although their larger size does pose a greater threat. I will say that I think it odd that wargs get their own entry into the bestiary, but dire wolves don't. But that's probably just my direwolf bias showing because I think they're a lot cooler than wargs. They say a dog's a man's best friend, but in these foul times, one best be wary, even of his friends. Some claim dogs are reflections of their masters. A well-treated pet repays his owner with loyalty and trust, whereas an ill-treated one repays this treatment in kind as well, meeting yells with barks and kicks with bites. Since there is an abundance of bad men, so too is there an abundance of bad dogs. Most dangerous of all are the vagrant mutts who have lost all respect for men and developed a taste for blood and carrion. Common domesticated dogs have one variation, that being the wild dog mentioned in that last excerpt. Similar to wolves, dogs and wild dogs will opt for a group fighting style if possible. So again, using signs like Ard or Igni can disrupt their attacks and give you time to strike. Early in the game, particularly in White Orchard and Bellin, wild dogs are some of the first enemies that Geralt will encounter. They often hang around burned out farmsteads or empty hamlets, scavenging what's left of human settlements. Their speed and erratic movement make them difficult to pin down, and when they attack in groups, they can easily overwhelm an unprepared player. One memorable encounter occurs during the Missing in Action quest, where Geralt searches for a missing soldier. feral dogs ambush the Witcher, making it clear that these animals are no harmless strays. Later, in war-ravaged Velen, it's common to find them feasting on corpses left behind by the Nilfgaardian conflict, a grim reflection of how human wars can breed new dangers. Know that ditty about the bear climbing the mountain to see what he could see? Biggest load of rubbish I've ever heard. When a bear climbs a mountain, it's not to see, it's to hunt, to kill. There are several subspecies of bears, black bears, polar bears, and cave bears, which differ from one another in coloring as well as in size and strength. All share one trait in common, however, a near unmatched ability to kill. As mentioned in the excerpt, there are 3 variations of bear: black bear, cave bear, and polar bear. The main difference between these variations is their coloration and natural habitat. When fighting a bear, it's important to keep in mind that they do not have an attack that can reach behind them, meaning that attacking from behind is optimal. Using a sign like Írden or Axii can give you enough time to get behind the bear and strike. These massive beasts are usually found in the mountains and forests of Skellige and the Northern Realms. A standout moment comes during the Lord of Unvik quest. While searching the frozen island, Geralt can stumble upon a massive bear feasting upon a corpse inside of a half-collapsed building. It's a tense, close-quarters fight that shows just how dangerous these beasts can be in confined spaces. There's also the Bear School Gear questline, where players explore hidden caves to claim the Ursine Witcher armor. These caves are often guarded by aggressive bears, making each piece of armor feel earned through real combat. We'll now be transitioning to talking about beasts that appear in the Witcher DLCs. I'll first be talking about the Hearts of Stone DLC, as there's only one beast that appears within it. These woodland beasts are as wild, untamed, nasty, and aggressive as their name indicates. To this day, many peasants in outlying Kaedweni villages believe wild boars persist on a diet of young maids, though in truth, they most often sate their hunger with roots and acorns. Do not think this vegetarian diet makes them harmless, however. In fact, these animals' stout build and sharp teeth render them veritable fur-covered combat machines. Wild boars technically have one variation, but because you encounter it in the Blood and Wine DLC, I'm not going to discuss it here. Boars can appear both alone and in groups, often circling before performing their signature lunge attack. Slowing them down is key, as their quick lunges are difficult to successfully dodge. Stunning them with Igni or Ard is an option, or slowing them with Írden can make them vulnerable to attack. In Toussaint folklore, these creatures are said to have once been common game for knights, a traditional hunting challenge. But with monster activity and rural neglect, they've grown more numerous and bolder, roaming close to vineyards and outposts. Boars frequently attack travelers and workers, making them a very prevalent threat. And now transitioning to the Blood and Wine DLC, we have 2 entries. The big bad wolf, who lived in the land of 1,000 fables, was, like the other denizens of that strange sphere, created by Artorius Vigo, based on a figure from folk tales. Once, he served as a playmate to the Duke's daughters, acting out scenes with a certain red-hooded girl and her grandmother. But as the fable land slowly degenerated, so did he. The big bad wolf operates almost exactly like a common werewolf, although he's vulnerable to beast oil instead of cursed oil. He also doesn't regenerate health, making his fight arguably easier than a fight with a werewolf. It is, however, a good idea to keep bleed mitigators on you, as his attacks do inflict this status effect. You can find the wolf in the Land of 1,000 Fables, an enchanted storybook realm found during the quest Beyond Hill and Dale. Big Bad Wolf is a twisted version of the classic fairy tale character from the Little Red Riding Hood. In this warped realm, he's a sentient, foul-mouthed beast with a taste for blood and a grudge against the well-known little girl. Unlike the mindless wolves that Geralt usually fights, this creature speaks and displays a crude personality that makes this encounter stand out. Panthers are dangerous predators found in forests and other woodlands. They are quick, agile, and, like all cats, diabolically cunning. In many less than thoroughly urbanized areas, folks still believe panthers are the stranded souls of those who die in their sleep. Superstition thus holds anyone perishing in this way should be dragged to the nearest woods and left there without a burial. The panther spirit of the deceased may then devour its own body, thereby passing on to the nether realms. There is only one known variation of the panther, that being the spectral panther, which is immune to things that a common panther is not. When fighting a panther, they will display similar movement and behavior to dogs and wolves, although much faster. Using a sign to slow them down and interrupt their movement may give you time to land a blow. Use a steel sword coated in beast oil for common panthers, and a silver sword coated in spectre oil for spectral panthers. Additionally, it's important to note that spectral panthers are immune to the sign Igni. Sleek, black-furred, and silent, panthers are apex predators in Toussaint's wilderness. They ambush travelers, leaping from cover to tear prey apart with razor-sharp claws. Unlike wolves or dogs, panthers are solo hunters, making each encounter feel intensely personal. The three little pigs are perfect examples of a rather unfortunate phenomenon. Leave even a kind-hearted, warm, naively benign creature to fend for itself, and it won't remain so benign for long. The three little pigs from the Land of a Thousand Fables were left for years without Artorias Vago's supervision. During this time, they went completely feral, transforming into three wild boars which attacked anyone who dared approach their ruined home. The three little pigs are the variation of wild boar that I mentioned earlier, and as such, they behave very similarly to boars. However, because there are three of them attacking at once, they have the potential to deal very large amounts of damage, and as such, it's best to take them out one by one. To accomplish this, it's best to use your silver sword coated in beast oil. These little pigs are based on the classic fairy tale and were once prey of the big bad wolf. In this twisted version of the storybook realm, however, they've survived, and they're massive, mutated hogs living inside their iconic brick house. When Geralt arrives and uses Ard to blow down their house, mirroring the wolf's huffing and puffing, the pigs aren't pleased, and instead of running away, they burst out of the house ready to attack. Okay, so that was episode 1 of the new series. I had a lot of fun with this. It was really nice to take a break from Dark Souls and focus on something a lot more straightforward. I do definitely want feedback on this though, mainly in whether or not I should be talking about DLCs or not, as well as if you guys want to hear about the kind of one-off characters that fall into the class that I'm talking about. Like, did you guys enjoy hearing about the big bad wolf and the three little pigs, or would you rather me just stick to things like bears and wolves? Additionally, I will be putting out a poll to decide what the next episode's about. Whatever you guys choose though, I think the episode's going to end up being a lot longer because beasts are kind of as simple as they come when it comes to talking about Witcher classes of creatures. And I apologize if any of my pronunciation was awful. I really tried my best, but I am just a lowly wench, so you guys can't expect too much of me. But that's going to do it for this first episode. As always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, don't get slain.